In this video, I'm going to take you through my 4 exam day predictions for your CIMA Strategic Case Study Examination for the November 2024 to February 25 pre-CIMA materials. My name is James and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Be sure to subscribe so you get access to all of my CIMA videos. And if you'd like access to my exclusive CIMA analysis notes we'll be going through in the tips, be sure to click the link in the description of this video where you can download a copy yourself. You'll also find down there, and I'm delighted to say, I'm associated with Astranti. You can access mock papers, their pre-scene analysis, and for pure transparency as ever, if you were to click any of the links to access those resources, I'd be entitled to a small commission which goes to supporting the YouTube channel. But as always, a massive, huge thank you for all of your support. And now I'm going to take you through my tutor notes and insights. And just to be clear for this video, I have no knowledge of the CIMA examiners. I've not seen your exam or nobody's told me what's on it. This is what I've had a look through from the pre-scene notes and my area number 1 of my predictions that if I was doing the SCS case study, first of all would be the pestle model itself on there. Now, where are we going to start on that? Why have I picked that up straight away? Well, first of all, if you go to page 4 that you can see on the side there, we've been given lots of information about the actual industry itself and the environmental impact. So soil erosion, water pollution, emissions on there. There are so many environmental points that we could refer to, and the actual type of industry that it is itself. So we're looking at the mining industry. Rotomyne is Rotomyne, shall I say, is a quoted company. So we've got a large scale and impact that this company actually has. And we've also been given solutions as to how could they actually improve on their environmental impact. So if we look on the left-hand side, you'll see on my notes as to the traditional brine mining and lithium extraction versus if they were to actually go into sort of hard rock mining on there, the benefits that the company could go through from that point of view. So again, environmental points, definitely topical on there and something you should be aware of. Also, if we come down to page number 11, really important for your notes now, is from a technology point of view of pestle. You can see on my notes on the screen, in terms of the board responsibilities, there is no ICT or technology director on there. So this really rang the alarm bells for me in terms of, say, cyber risks that could come into it. And if you go down to page 20 at the bottom, the CIMA markers are going to want you to apply the pre-CIMA materials as best as you can, but there is not going to be time on your exam day to be flicking through them. There's so much to actually apply in your answers. You've just got to know the direct areas to go to. And there you can see in the actual Portland Telegraph where Rotomyne actually operates, we have a few technology points on there about security concerns, IT systems, and the software as well with unauthorized breaches. So again, adapting to that technology, putting it into practice, and the human intervention, that article on there would be another area I would be linking it to. In terms of pestle and other factors and areas, again, if you've got these notes yourself, feel free to follow it through or save you a lot of time, is on page 12 on the left hand side. I've made a few other notes as to, again, there are a few more environmental points on there. Rotomyne are actually aiming to minimise the environmental impact of its existing mines. Again, something you could refer to. But there are other factors about the communities you can see on the left hand side, political risks associated. There's a lot of different areas that theory in terms of pestle I think has legs and could be tested, and you can see it overlaps a lot of the areas in the pre-scene materials on there. So that is area number 1 of my exam day predictions, the pestle model itself and applying the actual case study pre-scene materials. Now area number 2, and this is just a fundamental for this exam on there, is the ethics and corporate governance factors. Something will go wrong. Key point to note down on your case study exam day. It's not going to be all sunshine and rainbows, and you've got to pick that out and say, right, how can I form a balanced argument? They'll usually ask you to assess and evaluate. Start on that right hand side there. You can see on page 9 just above me where we've been given the mission, the vision and the values. And the first thing I'd say to get down in your notes is The requirement or the sort of situation that is set on your case study exam day, say to yourself straight away, does it align with their mission statement, their vision statement, or their values pointed out? And that is where you can actually directly refer to the pre-CIMA materials and go, hang on a second, that does not align with the mission, quote it directly. And you can see from my notes on there, the little hints that we've been given in terms of power consumers' lives in a world that is clean and healthy and sustainable. Watch out for those sort of words and buzzwords and triggers in your case study exam, in the requirements, to then trigger your mind to go back to those actual mission, vision and value statements. In terms of the values, we've got a few ethical hints on there about honesty and then the safe working environment. So again, the other factors that could be linked in to the codes of ethics as to your integrity on there, objectivity, maybe things involving confidentiality. Apply them back to the scenario and refer to the actual annual report extracts that we've been given on here on page 9. And then in terms of corporate governance and ethics, this is where it gets really interesting now, that the CIMA markers absolutely love it when you refer to particular individuals by their names, by their roles on there, and this can link into other questions involving corporate governance. Good corporate governance leads to good performance on there, and good ethics is also going to have a massive impact. But linking it to KPIs, critical success factors, and you'll see on pages 10 and 11 on here, actually understanding what areas, and this is where we have the board responsibility in the yellow box. I think this is massive for the case study exam for SCS, is when you read the requirement, trigger yourself in your mind to say, right, what area of the business does that relate to? First things first, so if it's something to do with sales or customers, or something's gone wrong in terms of maybe where maybe one of their largest customers, which we'll come on to in a moment, then you've got to say, right, who has that responsibility? And then you say, right, oh, that's going to link into the marketing director, or is it Andre in terms of the mining operations? Do we have an issue with one of our suppliers? That is going to be key, and it could link into an ethical or corporate governance question, and you're only going to be picking up more and more marks. And then the final bit that you can see, well, I've just mentioned Andre on there, say, with the environmental and mining operations, then you say to yourself, right, can I refer to anything in particular in the actual paragraph we've been given by Andre? And therefore, I've highlighted a few little areas like chemistry, distinction, lithium-based alloys, was promoted from the production director. Those details and specifics are what you need to apply on the exam day in your answers, and it's only going to lead to more marks. So that is number 2, ethics and corporate governance. I think I've got a really good shout of coming up. Now, number 3, Rotomyne's financial performance, and as you would imagine, the word strategy on there. So now let's go down. This is where you've got to be really on the ball. Page 13, we've got the group accounts on there, and you can see from my analysis, I've given you the operating and net profit margins. They've actually been dropping from 2023 to 2024. Still been making a profit, nevertheless, and just analysing these figures to try and unpick that no matter what they could throw at you on the exam day, you could say to yourself, right, I know the different factors on there that it could relate to in terms of, right, the profits have been going down slightly. It's not ideal. But if you look at the level of dividends that they've been actually declaring and handing out to shareholders, that is still high and a very, very significant amount. Other areas to look at is the loss on translation. So Rotomyne, multinational organisation dealing with in lots of foreign currency, and that is where we have foreign currency or just currency risk that could link into it. So you've got other economic factors, transaction risks on there. And if we just come on to the figures, so Rotomyne Groups, on there we have 221 million, whereas if we go down to Lithdig on there, so exactly comparable, their actual currency or translation has only had a loss of 27 million. So another factor just to get down that could link into a variety of different things. You've got their operating and net profit margins as well. And the other areas that they've given us the balance sheet or consolidated statement of financial position is they love to throw in areas like sources of finance, capital structure. And a little thing I picked up on was, you can see on here, Rotomyne, their borrowings are exactly on their 5,000 consistent year on year. And if you go back up to the actual finance costs, you can see on there. So that is where we get the minus 500 million year on year. So we've got a current 10% interest charge year on year. But if we go on to the actual competitor now, for Lindig, theirs is 300 million. So again, it's how it's leveraged. You could refer to things like gearing on there. There could be potential liquidation risk, bankruptcy risk. You could throw into some arguments. We've got the currency reserves, but generally speaking, Rotomyne overall has been pretty consistent. It looks pretty healthy on there from a balance sheet perspective. Other areas that I'd definitely make sure you note down in terms of working capital management. So cash flow in terms of what we have in the bank for both companies, slightly dropping for Lindig. And again, you can see on here for Rotomyne, pretty consistent as well, with some nice backup cash reserves on there for it. So currency translation, cash flow areas, and then the last thing, if you go down to page 17, is the share price history, linking it into points about shareholder wealth maximization. Key things not to miss for the notes. Look on the right hand side where it's been going down for the last 2 years for a Rotomyne share price. That is for the figures we are actually given in the pre-CIMA material. So the share price has dipped as a result, but look at it historically, the previous years before. We're not told why it went up, but it's again a factor you could refer to. Don't overlook that we've not been given Lindig's beta on there or share price, something that could come up on the exam day. But final point for financial performance and strategy is Rotomyne's beta is actually 1.63. So that's above the risk of the market, could affect the cost of capital, linking to points about business and finance risk, and the keyword of volatility. It is riskier, it is more volatile, and can impact on other areas of the business, as we talked about. So that's area number 3, financial performance and the overall strategy of Rotomyne. Now, number 4, again, this is, I don't have a crystal ball on these sort of things. If I did, I'd know if my team, Leicester City, were going to get relegated this year in the Premier League. Let me know in the comments if you think that's going to happen. But the key one on here for number 4 is acquisition or divestment on there. Now, first of all, why did I think this? If you come to page 7 and have a look, you'll see on my notes here, important paragraph. So the 4 largest lithium producing companies, one of which is Rotomyne, account for more than 50% of the global sales of lithium by value. So that's one of our companies, is one of the 4th largest. Great little thing for you to get down on there as to a nice little quote to refer to in terms of size and scale. And it could link into the actual SAF model on there. So is it sustainable, acceptable and feasible to actually make an acquisition or to divest for it? So why do I think that is the case on that? Again, just purely on my sort of instinct, having a little look through. If we come up to the top of page 8 now, the reason why I say it was, if we look on there, it says Rotomyne acquired its newest mine in 2004 on there. So that was a heck of a long time ago in terms of we're now operating 20 years later. So you've got to be thinking from a strategy perspective and the scale wise. And if you look at the introduction that we just had on there about Rotomyne, bottom of page 7, top of page 8, Rotomyne now owns and operates 6 hard rock mines and 3 traditional brine mines located at a total of 6 different countries. Rotomyne is one of the 4 largest lithium producers. Again, you've got to be thinking to yourself, well, from there, how are they going to strategically position themselves moving forward? That is something that yourself in a position, say, I don't know, in a CIMA exam, might have to look at other factors to consider it. So if you come down to the bottom of page 8, that nearly 45% of their revenue is in the battery grade of lithium hydroxide in the table. So actually thinking about diversifying some of their actual revenue, maybe where they're operating. We've been given other methods of how they could actually mine, but they're not actually doing it. So again, you don't have to be a mining expert for this, but it's a case of, we'll come up to those in a second, but if you just look on page 9 on the right hand side, 4th paragraph down, you'll see on there, Rotomyne's customers vary in terms of size and importance. Sales to its largest customer, a major vehicle manufacturer, account for 22% of Rotomyne's company revenue during the year ended 30th of September 2024. 22% from one customer. So again, that's where I was thinking as to, well, obviously you've got the competition factors on there, but maybe a sort of merger could be put out there as well. If you have an acquisition, synergies could come about it, because you don't need all that many directors or levels of management on there. They may have other resources, as you'll see when you go through the actual processes on here. It can be quite hard to actually find the correct areas and where to actually mine. And like I said before, you don't have to be a lithium production methods expert, but it's just getting a grasp of the traditional brine mines and hard rock mines are very bad for the environment, and then the direct lithium extraction, which they've given us a nice little diagram, could be one of your points you could throw in there in terms of, if we were to acquire, or maybe even divest to actually streamline some of our actual processes. Maybe we've got an actual loss-making area of the business that we might want to try and get rid of on there. These are all different things about how to look for different opportunities. And then the final point is how you could link it into what we saw in the introduction. You are a senior manager involved in this actual case study. In the finance function, you actually report directly to the board of directors, and it even says in that second paragraph, I've put important on it, you advise on special projects and strategic matters. So it's just to give you the little reading between the line things that when you go through it, you go, hang on a second. It's a developed country. There are all these different factors on there. I know there's lots and lots of notes to go through, but it's a case of, those are my sort of little insights as to area number 4, acquisitions or potential divestment for you to consider for your strategic case study examination on there in the pre-seen materials. And that, ladies and gentlemen, nicely brings me to my last of my 4 exam day predictions. Be sure to give this video a like if you've actually found value in it, which I hope you have, of course. If you'd like to access these notes, click the link in the description. You'll be able to access and download the PDF there, along with check out those mock exams and the pre-seen analysis. But I'll put another video up at the top for this actual pre-seen materials, so make sure you subscribe and you don't miss out on any others, and I'll see you on the other side now for our next video. So thank you very much.